What's up gamers, Dreamcastguy here, and I just finished playing the Marvel Avengers beta over on the PlayStation 4, and I wanted to give you guys some brutally honest impressions as to how the game is currently. This is coming out in about a month. There's going to be a series of open betas, but this is also a really interesting chance to see how this project is going to function, because there's certainly been a lot of confusion and controversy around the game itself. The entire project, if I'm just saying this right at the start, it's surprisingly different. Now that I've had a chance to sit down and play a bunch of hours of this, unlock some characters, get some gear upgrades, I have to say that the trailers don't really convey what this game is actually like. Now, parts of this game are very, very good. From the art direction to the map designs, there is some stuff in here that really and genuinely impressed me. But there are some aspects of this that have me deeply worried. What you need to remember about this as we go into this is that what we have here is a games as a service title, which means that this isn't going to be an adventure that you just beat and move on. The idea of this is that you're trying to keep coming back and just log in every single day, doing the same missions, unlocking more stuff, and slowly upgrading your characters. And of course, purchasing loads of microtransactions. Now, this isn't just some speculation. The developers themselves have said that this is one of those projects where you're supposed to just keep participating in the world and buying lots of cosmetics and stuff. That is how it's supposed to be funded. Now, if you've been subscribed for a bit, I'm sure you know this, but that's not normally my style of fun. I like contained stories or very open multiplayer. That way me and my buddies can kind of just create our own cool experience out of it. And this game, it doesn't really have that, but it's not exactly busted either. It's trying to be unique, and in some ways, it's definitely successful. What Marvel Avengers has is basically a series of structured missions. Some of them kind of introduce the world and the characters, but for the most part, they're kind of just about slowly going around the planet, getting a chance to land in tropical zones and run through the jungle, or do something like go into the city and swing around as Black Widow. There is something in this that I do want to address, which is that the combat is so deep in a weird way, which is that every character that we have here, there's going to be a bunch at launch. There's going to be Thor, Miss Marvel, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hulk, and Captain America all in the game at release. Now, we only have 4 of these right here in the beta version of the game, but already each of them certainly have their own strengths and weaknesses. And as they level up, they get a chance to unlock slightly different things like extra combo moves and stuff. Like, just as a random example, I really enjoyed playing as the Incredible Hulk. It's kind of cool to run up and, of course, slam my humongous fists into people's faces. And as I started playing him, I had a chance to do things like make it where whenever I was running, I could press triangle and immediately slam my entire weight down onto one target. It gave me a chance to tinker with him a tiny bit. But to be quite clear, I don't think that these skill point upgrades are that substantial. The major aspect of this game is definitely the gear. As you're going around these levels, there's tons of just optional paths, times where you can actually just choose, if you want to find these special loot crates. These are like gear boxes, and as you open these up, you get all sorts of randomized new items. Things that'll make your particular character have more strength, have more special abilities, or just have more defense so you can take a bigger punch. And as you started playing this, I realized that this is definitely going to be the primary gameplay loop, is choosing a character you like and then doing missions again and again and again to keep getting these tiny randomized upgrades. And it's something that definitely works, but it's also just super complicated. This is for people who absolutely love randomized loot. The entire game is based around the idea of cracking open these boxes and then getting all sorts of currencies. You can put on a piece of gear and then use the different styles of aluminium and, different energy sources to slowly tinker and upgrade each of the pieces of gear, because this makes you so much stronger that really it's all that kind of matters. Now, as I was playing this, something that kind of struck me as bad, at least as a big fan of the comics, is the fact that It's kind of bizarre that they're calling this game Marvel's Avengers when there's almost no actual Avengers in it. And yes, I'm being completely serious. I mean, if you're basing this on the movie, I'm sure you're missing people like Vision and obviously people like Spider-Man, who are a huge part of the Avengers in the rest of the universe, but in this game, we're not getting Spider-Man until 2021, and even then, only on PlayStation. So it's kind of baffling that they would call this the Avengers. I mean, obviously, in the comic books, the X-Men are in this. I mean, we're never going to fight Galactus. We're never going to see the Fantastic Four. We're never going to get a chance to see Hulk throw Wolverine, which is a huge move that they do all the time in the comic books. It's so weird to me that this is being called the Avengers when there is such a tiny cast of Avengers in it. I really believe that they would have probably done better if they called this Marvel Universe. Make it where you can start to just slowly implement things later. I guess this is kind of one of the things about games as a service projects is that they don't care how good the game is at launch. They just want it to be something that people will keep buying. As long as it's at least fun enough that people keep accidentally picking it up on sale, they'll just keep adding characters down the line and hopefully keep making money off all those microtransactions. Now I want to talk more about the combat, because yes, in this we do have 4 different characters that we could play as in the main area here, which was Iron Man, Black Widow, Hulk, and Miss Marvel. Now, I believe that Miss Marvel is kind of intended to be the main character of the game. She's this little girl here, and her special ability is that she is stretchy. And she uses this in some pretty creative ways, like trying to make her body expand and become giant and slam down on people, or, just almost sort of doing a Spider-Man web sling and grabbing far-off objects. Now, each of the characters has a very specific set of moves. Like Miss Marvel, something I like about her is that she can do this ranged attack where you just basically shoot your fist like a cannon, and it's hilarious. It has such a good feeling when you connect to a target and just smack a drone out of the sky like you're swatting a fly. But then if you switch over to somebody like Iron Man flat out has flight. He can just soar up into the air and start blasting people with his long-range laser hands. But as a weird way to try and balance this, it seems like the game is super obsessed with trying to make sure that every character feels like they're perfectly in flux. Everybody has to fit into the meta, so even though Iron Man can fly, you're not allowed to fly very high. If you go about 30 feet off the ground, it'll just tell you you're about to be auto-killed. So constantly I kept bumping into the sky, which meant that even though I did have rocket feet, I didn't really get a chance to fly around. A lot of times it was just easier to sit on the ground itself and just punch people to death instead of actually doing what freaking Iron Man would do, which is fly up in the sky and just laser beam people. I guess going into somebody like Black Widow is kind of one of my favorites because I like the fact that she has so many different combos and she can do these clean tactical takedowns whenever an enemy is even slightly weakened. Now, as I'm sure you've noticed, and I'm going to show some Hulk gameplay here because I've been talking about him the most and I love him, this is multiplayer. There is going to be a thing where if you have 4 people, you can each be different heroes and go through these missions again and again. And this is kind of cool, but I still don't think it's going to be fun with strangers. I think this is one of those things that's going to be fun when you and your buddies actually have your gear doing your missions. This is still kind of paper thin combat. Like, I enjoyed this, but after a while I kind of figured out the one way to play each character, and then I would just constantly do that. Like with Black Widow, I realized that if any character stunned any enemy, I could do an instant kill on them. So a lot of times with Black Widow, I'd fire a couple bullets and then just do another instant kill. Fire a couple bullets, do another instant kill. This brings me to the biggest problem I have with the game, which is that everything feels really strangely out of universe. Like, one of the weirdest things is, as I'm sure you've already noticed, I'm fighting humans a lot. Yes, there's a good amount of like robots and stuff mixed in, but most of the time you are punching humans in suits. You are walking up to random dudes who are like A.I.M employees and punching them as Iron Man or Thor, and I'm calling down lightning to murder these people. I'm playing as the Incredible Hulk. Now, if you've ever looked at the comic book, like Wikipedia's and stuff, the Hulk weighs 1,400 pounds. Just swinging my fists, each of his fists probably weighs about 300 to 400 pounds themselves, which means I'm practically throwing a motorcycle of weight at a dude wearing an exosuit. This is absolutely murder, and it feels weird to have these people where, since everybody has to be balanced, they can only give us enemies that are strong enough that they would be a challenge to Black Widow. They can't ever make somebody that just stays in the sky, because then only Iron Man could kill them. They can't make somebody that's too giant, because then only Hulk could fight them. It seems like in their way to try and make this catered to every single character being able to have a fighting chance, it makes it where everything kind of gets washed out. I guess really, if I had to just break it down, I mean, overall, this game isn't all bad, but as somebody who actually understands this lore, who knows these characters, I'm kind of just strangely confused as to why they went in this direction. It's not exceedingly fun. I am going to review this. I'm going to buy it at launch. I'm going to play it at launch. I can't imagine playing this for months and months and months at a time, and that's what you're supposed to do. The fact that we're not even going to see Spider-Man until 2021, I mean, I'll just be perfectly honest here. I guess I'm never going to play Spider-Man because I'm probably not going to be playing this for, half of a year until he's finally released. So even though I'm playing this game, I guess I'm never going to get a chance to enjoy my favorite aspects of the Marvel Universe. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts and some concerns. What do you think about the Marvel Avengers beta? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know what you're thinking about this game when it goes towards launch. I'm kind of curious who's actually pre-ordering this game and who is kind of just being skeptical and holding off for now. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. When this comes out, I might do some sort of thing where if you're somebody who buys it, maybe we'll do at least one day where we run around as heroes and try and laser beam blast everybody. But I call dibs on Hulk. Dibs on Hulk. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.